Mrs. Goulbert, oh no, yep. So this is fees and charges, the adoption of the fees and charges for the 2012-13, excluding the ones that were in the long-term plan. So these fall outside the long-term plan. I think we do them, Ariel, on a yearly basis.
These ones we do on a yearly basis, and the other ones we do on a yearly basis as well, but they appear in the annual plan or long-term plan.
Okay, cool. So you could take them as read, or perhaps Ms. King will make herself available for any questions. Okay. A suggested resolution that Council adopts the attached schedule of fees and charges for 2012-13 as read, seconded by Councillor Williams. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. We'll go to item 7, do it? We'll go to 8.
No.
I think we do need to do 6 and 7 in tandem, so we'll go to 8. 14. You're a big jump, huh?
Yeah, a big jump.
Councillor Kirk.
Sorry, Miss McLeod, were you just saying about going to 14 just then?
Yeah.
I was about to, I don't know if I can request, but I thought it was quite relevant as well, considering it was the same topic.
So you want to go to 14 too?
Yes.
Okay, we're all going to 14. I want to go there too. Okay. Setting up after-school programs and fees, very dear to Councillor Kirk's heart. Having using the service, I'm sure. So, who is presenting this?
I'm getting to present this.
Miss McLeod, do you need the service? Can't answer that.
Yes, my cat's...
Your cat looks after himself.
Yeah. Right, thank you. The reason why I've actually asked for this to be brought forward is that technically this really should be included in your list of fees and charges. And it's one of those things that I think has probably escaped just partly because of the way that the program has developed and where it sits in the organisation. So the fees and charges for our after-school program basically haven't been raised for a number of years, and they really are getting very far out of kilter with certainly what's being provided around the rest of Taupo, and it's important that we do get back into kilter with them. So we've reviewed those fees and charges, and we've put forward 2 options for you to consider. Obviously, the first option is I would say it's a relatively small increase. The second brings you more in line with other similar programs, but it's still below what other private providers are actually have in Taupo. But it is stepped, and I think probably where you should be looking in the future is to actually becoming more in line with the other providers. But happy to answer any questions that anybody may have on the report.
Is this council core business? I asked that question because of so many new childcares privately run opening up in town here at the moment. I can think of 4 or 5. Are we competing against legitimate businesses?
I mean, effectively, when this program was originally set up, there was certainly a gap in the market, and I think that's one of the things that you might like to put on your radar in the future. In fact, we did raise that when we began talking about the long-term plan and looking at where the most appropriate place was for the program.
We'll open up the questions from the councillors and see what they've got to say. Councillor Kirk?
Not so much a question, but yes, I am a user of after-school care, but of a private provider, and I have to say, if I knew this is what the current charges were, they'd be at the event centre, that's for sure. After reading it, I do fully support the need to rise and understand that people that are entitled to work and income subsidies would not be affected, but I'd sort of, even though we are losing money on it, and we can't afford to do that, I sort of wonder if we can phase in option 1 with the intention of 6 to 12 months later going to option 2 to give people a bit more time, because currently $37 a week, and if we go to option 2 it could end up at $67.50 per week come end of January next year, and that's probably quite a lot for a household income in such a short time. but do think it definitely needs to go up. My children are in part-time care in a private, and it costs me $19 per child. That's for my twins, who are nearly 8. I won't tell you how much it costs for a younger baby to be in childcare, but yeah, it certainly needs to rise, but I just wonder if option 2 might be a bit steep considering if the economic restraints on people.
Councillor Minscher.
And answer my question. I was going to ask how much she pays a day, give some comparison, but the $19.
It's $19 for after school.
I think I had a hand up from Councillor Downard.
Yeah, well, Happy Days has just closed down, which my family have all been to for many years, which was quite stressing to a lot of people. I think it's been going 40 years. And so, yeah, I mean, even though there's more opening up, there's a couple closing down, and there's always a shortage of where parents are going to send their kids. So, I mean, option 2, it's got to be self funding. So, you know, there's people probably willing out there to pay it because there still is a shortage. So, I'd go to option 2.
As I understand it, option 2 still doesn't even break us even. Is that right?
No.
You're still providing a service, and I ask, is it council core business?
Yeah. No, the way we've looked at the figures here is to look at it from the point of view of if it was a standalone business. You know, so that's why while the direct costs are being met, some of the overhead costs are still below, which is why it's not a break-even service in the way that we've
So we
presented
still
here.
lose money on it? Is that the answer to the question? It's a yes or no?
It's not quite as simple as that, Your Worship, because if you took the service away, you would still have some overhead cost associated with the facility anyway. So it's what we've done here is try to give a better comparison of apples with apples.
Oh, Councillor Downard, or did you?
Is there a waiting list? And you know, if we go, 2 questions: is there a waiting list? And if we go with option 2, surely we'd see if there was a surplus, a drop in numbers, and then that'd give us an indication whether we carry on this service. If there's no drop in numbers, then it says that people are willing to pay that extra, and then do we look at it again in another year and put it up again to cover our costs?
Yes, there is a waiting list, and there are a number of people who've been on that waiting list for a little while, because it is a popular facility.
Henderson?
Page 14 bar 1 under item 5. To me the key point is this: when the program was first established, the income received largely offset the cost of running the program. Currently the total cost of running the program, excluding overheads, is $112,000 per annum. So yeah, so we've moved from a cost recovery situation when this decision was obviously made by previous councils to one where there's now a significant cost. So I would support a small increase, but I think it's equally inconsistent and unfair to move immediately to a full cost recovery model and the significant increase on the people concerned. But I would suggest I would go for the small increase, but I think this whole thing needs to be reviewed because I'm having difficulty and had difficulty when I read this prior to actually get my head around how the situation's evolved and some of the intricacies in it that I probably don't understand. But I just think the key thing is you made a decision on the basis of recovering cost, and now you're in a situation where you've got a significant loss. So clearly the basis on which the decision's been made's changed. So I would go for the smaller increase version. And review.
Okay, any further questions? Councillor Williams?
Yeah, I really have some concerns over, number one, us having a facility here that competes with business and providing subsidised childcare, which is not our core business. And I think I take on board the points that Councillor Henderson and Councillor Kirk made initially, but I think I strongly think we should look at reviewing it because you know, when we can't be unless we decide that we're going to have income tested or provide some assistance to people who can't afford the full rate. I can't see why, number one, we're doing it at a loss, and number two, why we're doing it at all, actually. So I'd go with in the interim going for the lower amount, but reviewing it to look at.
So So it would appear to me that we have a mover and a seconder on the floor for the first option, adding to that resolution that it be reviewed in total. Is that what you're saying? Yes. Can that be accepted, Ms. Patel?
Yes, and I would suggest that you actually review it in 6 months' time. So that gives you your stepped increase, but then looking at the whole program within the 6 months, which would allow you, if you decided to continue to provide that service, to look at actually bringing the fees maybe more in line with what's provided privately.
So the suggested resolution A there, adding the words to be reviewed in 6 months.
Yes.
In total, which means fees, whether we do it or don't do it, etc., etc. So that was moved by Councillor Henderson and a second by Councillor Williams. Does anybody want to talk against that motion before I put it? No, not wanting to. I will put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried.